Friends, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm Nermine Zakhary, Strengths and Positive Intelligence Coach, and I'm really excited about this conversation that we're going to have today about profitable productivity, eliminating I'm too busy. So, Lisa, welcome. I am so looking forward to this conversation with you and to be introducing you to my colleagues. I learned something new and immediately applicable every time I talk to you. So I'm so looking forward to the gold nuggets I'm going to walk away with today, and the gold nuggets my friends are going to walk away with as well.
And I am just happy to be able to spend some time with you. It feels like we get to catch up so seldom. And so I'm glad that we get to end our day today together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, friends, ever feel like you have more work than you do time? Today, our productivity expert, Lisa Crilley Mallis, will share proven strategies on how to work less and still achieve more, regardless of how jam packed your calendar is. And she'll also share her number one tip for changing busyness to business. First, let me properly introduce Lisa to you. Lisa Crilley Mallis is a seasoned expert helping service-based businesses streamline their process and focus for greater time freedom. With a background in education and over a decade of entrepreneurial experience, Lisa understands the challenges of balancing ambition with well-being. Through personalized solutions and real-world strategies, Lisa empowers her clients to work less, achieve more, and rediscover the joy in their work. It's time to stop surviving and to start thriving. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So you work with businesses that have more work than time. What exactly does that mean?
It means that they're busy all the time. And you can relate to that. I can relate to that. I know that when I first started my business, that's how I felt. And there are still seasons in my business where I can feel that way. It's that idea of pushing off the strategic stuff because you're stuck in the day to day, or wishing you had more time to do business development, but you're like, oh, I'll get to that tomorrow, or knowing that your processes are not quite as tight as you would like them to be, or that's saying it nicely. You're like slapping band-aids on things,
Uh-huh.
being, I'll fix that later, as soon as things slow down. But you don't want things to slow down per se because you're a business owner. It's when the business owner is taking work home to do, or the employees are taking work home to do. And so it's that idea that there's more work to get done in a day than there's actually the time to do it. And those are the businesses that I serve best.
Why? I'm relating uh, very much so with everything that you're sharing. Why do you think business owners become too busy? Why do we do that to ourselves?
Right, right. And I think it happens, or at least in my experience, the clients that I've worked with, is three different reasons. One is it's always been that way. Like, we started wearing all the hats, and I can speak from experience. I started that way. Like, you hear it all the time. We bootstrapped it and we brought on help when we just couldn't do it anymore. And maybe we brought on help strategically, maybe we didn't. And never really got over the hump. And so it just always stayed a little busier than what we would love. So that's one.
Okay.
The second one, or the other two, they got to a place where they're like, ooh, yeah, I love this running a business thing. Like, I can breathe a little bit. And then one of two things happen. One is business bumped again, either a new service line, a bigger client, but somehow what they built, that everything was great, the processes were great, everything matched,
Mm-hmm.
got out of balance.
Yeah.
And so they bumped up.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of a sudden now, again, they were at that more work than time place.
Yeah.
Or they lost people, either a key hire, took another position, or what typically happens with a lot of the clients I work with, maternity leave,
Mm-hmm.
someone's out on deployment.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a short-term leave, but it's not short-term as in like 3 days, short-term like a year or so, and so they're not filling the position per se, but they're
Right.
having 4 people do the work of 6. And so now it's more work than time.
Yeah. Wow, and it's part of the journey, right? Some of you kind of took us through the various seasons, right, that a business goes through. So, what are some things business owners can do if they find themselves in this spot with more work than they do time?
So 2 things I recommend. The first one is just stop. Just stop for a second, take a pause, and just think. And I know that seems so cliche or so commonplace or so like obvious, but like I used to my very first year in business, I had a workshop I used to do that was called "Stop the Merry-Go-Round, I Want to Get Off." And sometimes I feel like that's our life,
Yes,
or like the hamster wheel, right? Like I
yes,
just need to take a pause. And we're so busy sometimes. Just I need to fix this problem, and this thing's broke, and this person has a question, and this thing here, and this and if we would just stop and take a look at the landscape and everything around us, we could make better decisions. But we're not making good decisions. We're just reacting. So that's one, because busyness doesn't equal business.
yeah,
And if you can slow down, evaluate, look at the actual data, and then make a plan,
yeah,
that is absolutely going to help. So that's one thing,
yeah,
which I know sounds so much easier, but I mean, just even 15 minutes in the morning.
yeah.
So that's one.
Okay.
The second one is look at your staff, look at your team, and if you're a team of uh, me, myself, and I, so if you're a team of 3, they all happen to live
Oh yes, they do.
in your house because you're
Mhm.
a team of 3.
Yes.
Just look at, are you leveraging your resources the best? Even if your staff of 3 is you, yourself, and I. Are you actually leveraging them the best? And when we look at that, think of it through the lens of zone of genius or strengths. And so when we're looking at this, look at it as like, think of it through time wasted.
Mm,
When you're living in your zone of genius, you're doing what you're really, really great at and what you're best skilled at and what you love to do. And so when you're trying to learn skills that are outside of your zone of genius, you're wasting time and energy and frustration. And I'm thinking of clients right now who had a staff member going home every night trying to skill up in something because it was in her job description, that when they realized it was happening, they just outsourced for very little money. And right, you're like,
wow. And how much lighter? Already, you're just sharing that. How much I feel for that. Like I feel how much lighter it is for them
yeah,
by being able to do that.
yeah. And so you're like, okay, when you're the business owner and it's you, Where are you not working in your strengths or in your zone of genius? On a productivity standpoint, there's a ton of time wasted.
Yeah.
And then on a happiness standpoint, so looking at it from your perspective and looking at it from a team perspective, which like so I'm thinking of another client of mine. They had people once a month. They each had to work with similar clients doing similar job, and they both just did not enjoy it. Yet we had the zone of genius conversation, and when they flipped clients, both were happy. And it was same type of work.
Yeah.
It was just personalities, it's just stuff.
Yeah.
So like team. So when we're looking at, like, if you're in that place of more work than time, two things. One, slow down.
Yeah.
Reassess what's your plan. Because if you can at least even identify what are the 3 buckets do you fall in, that can help identify your next step out.
Yeah.
Like, your answers to get out of more work than time are completely different if it's because you have fewer employees than if it's because you all of a sudden have a more work. Like, those are different answers. And then the second part is, are you leveraging your employees to the best that they can be?
Yeah. So how does knowing your strengths factor in? How does it help you hone in on zone of genius?
Yeah. So when I look at zone of genius, I look at it in 3 pieces. One is, what is it that you are uniquely gifted at, which would be your strengths? What is it that you love to do more than anything else? And what moves the business forward? And it needs to be an intersection of all 3 of those. Because if you don't have all 3, then, if you're missing one, like if you're missing moves the business forward, it's probably a hobby, and which is great, but it's probably not a business activity. If you don't love it, then you're going to burn out.
Yeah.
And if you're not super good at it, then it's going to take a really long time to get it done. And so when you know your strengths, you know what you're uniquely great at. That's already one of the 3 pieces right there of your zone of genius.
I love it. And it's the adding the element of that energy and that love around that activity that just kind of feeds the whole process. I love it. And then obviously moving, then coupled with moving your business forward, what's going to move the needle for you. I love it. Thank you for that clarity and that adding that additional insight. So Lisa, it sounds a little complicated. Is it hard to find your zone of genius?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes and no. You know what? I don't think it's hard necessarily to find it. I think it's harder to explain it. Like, I feel like when you're in the place where time stands still and you look up and you're like, oh my gosh, it's been 4 hours. Like, it, you feel it. You're like, that's it. That's my zone of genius. Like, I'm there. But then when you go to articulate it to someone else, I think that's a lot harder. And to figure out, like, how does that relate then to my business? Like, what? Like, now what? Like, where's the bridge? Like, what? And then what does that mean to my employees? Like, how do I wrap all of that together? I think that's where it gets a little tougher.
Okay.
And so what we've done then is we've created a workshop. So I have a 90-minute workshop, leverage your team superpowers for record revenue months. It's a free workshop, and we have templates. So we'll walk you through exactly how to figure out what's your zone of genius, what's the zone of genius of the members of your team, And if your team is me, myself, and I, you can figure that out for the three of you. And then what does that mean? What things could you be outsourcing? What things should you do? Sometimes people will say, well, how do I get my team to share that something's not in their zone of genius? Because if we think about it, if it's in their job description, how comfortable are people sometimes saying, I don't like this, or I'm not good at it? And so we walk through how to get that info without making someone feel like they're a failure or that their job's in jeopardy by admitting that it's not something they're great at.
Creating that safety. Yeah.
Right. And we do it on the workshop. So, I mean, come on, you know, as well as I do. I shouldn't say that. I know as well as I do that I will go sometimes to workshops or webinars, and I'll have a list of things that I want to accomplish afterwards. And then it'll sit on the pile, and then it won't always move into implementation. And so on this workshop, we will stop and it's do this thing. Here's the template. Right now, text these people, email these people, do this stuff.
I love that.
By the time we're done, you've
already done some of the steps.
Yeah.
You've done all of the steps to some extent. You've started the process.
Yeah, you have it right there. That. Yep. And then you're walking out with the templates to be able to replicate it again.
Right.
For your next new hire.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, that's incredible. So much of what you're sharing just absolutely, it resonates and it aligns with so much of how I practice and what I teach as well. And I think what I love the most is that this isn't just a webinar that you're putting on. This is indeed a hands-on workshop with hands-on experience by the time that you're done.
Right. Yeah. We'll be on Zoom, not webinar Zoom.
Yeah. I love that Zoom.
Cool. I'll answer questions.
Yeah. And you'll be together in the room, and you'll be able to go out, do your thing, come back, debrief, get questions answered, and then learn the next piece, apply it, come back and check in. I love that. And so it makes it applicable, it makes it repeatable. And by the time you're done, you've already done it.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So it's August 20th. We'll drop the links in all the places.
We'll share all the information. Yeah.
We'll
share back out the recording. Absolutely. And like I said, I know that if you've gotten some nuggets out of our conversation today, as I have, I've already written a couple of things down. There's that much more that's available to you. I hope that you'll check this out and join Lisa. And I think I'm going to be looking at my calendar as well, Lisa, and hoping to join you and pick up a few more for the me, myself, and I. As we keep plugging along here, keep pushing through and seeking to really be operating in our zone of genius so that we can make the impact that we want in this world.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I love that so much.
So friends, thank you for joining us, whether you're here with us live now or catching the replay. Really appreciate you taking the time. And Lisa, I love hanging out with you and really appreciate this opportunity to talk and learn from you, as I always do.
Oh, thank you, Nermine. This was the best. Thank you.
All right, friends, enjoy and have a